finding the optimal eating window, is there a sweet spot for time-restricted eating? The practical implementation of time-restricted eating immediately confronts a fundamental question: how restricted should the eating window be? Popular discourse offers varying answers, from aggressive 6-hour windows to moderate 12-hour periods, often presented with confidence unmatched by supporting evidence. The research attempting to identify optimal window durations reveals that the answer depends critically on individual goals, baseline behaviors, and tolerance for restriction, rather than representing a universal biological ideal. Studies directly comparing different window durations remain surprisingly scarce relative to the question's practical importance. The available evidence suggests dose-response relationships for some outcomes but not others. Weight loss generally shows greater magnitude with more restricted eating windows, though this relationship primarily reflects the difficulty of maintaining high caloric intake within shorter time frames rather than metabolic magic of specific durations. An 8-hour window typically produces more weight loss than a 12-hour window, but largely because people find it harder to overeat within 8 hours than 12. The mechanism remains caloric reduction rather than temporal optimization. For metabolic markers independent of weight loss, the optimal window question becomes more complex. Some data suggest that circadian alignment benefits may emerge with even modest time restriction, compressing eating from 14 or 16 hours down to 10 or 12 hours, particularly for individuals whose baseline patterns involve substantial nighttime eating. These gentler restrictions might optimize circadian alignment while minimizing adherence challenges and nutrient adequacy risks. More aggressive windows below 8 hours appear to offer little additional metabolic benefit in isocaloric contexts, while substantially increasing difficulty and potential downsides. The chronotype consideration adds another dimension. Morning types may tolerate early 6 to 8-hour windows more readily than evening types, who might find such schedules incompatible with their circadian biology and social lives. For evening chronotypes, a later 8 to 10-hour window might represent a more achievable and sustainable compromise. This personalization suggests that optimal windows should be defined not by absolute clock times or durations, but by alignment with individual circadian preferences and lifestyle constraints. Adherence patterns across durations reveal predictable trends. Studies implementing very restrictive windows consistently report lower adherence rates and higher dropout than those using moderate restrictions. The relationship between window duration and adherence appears nonlinear, with adherence declining sharply below certain thresholds that vary individually. For long-term sustainability, arguably more important than short-term efficacy, moderate time restrictions that allow social flexibility may prove superior to aggressive protocols that work well initially but prove unsustainable over months or years. Nutritional adequacy concerns escalate with decreasing window duration. Compressing adequate macronutrients, micronutrients, and hydration into 4 to 6-hour windows challenges even motivated individuals with nutrition knowledge. Vulnerable populations, including older adults, athletes, and those with high nutrient needs, face particular risks of inadequacy with aggressive time restriction. A practical minimum window of 8 hours appears advisable for most people to allow adequate nutrient intake across multiple eating occasions. The quality of evidence on optimal duration remains limited by methodological challenges. Most studies implement single predetermined windows rather than systematically comparing multiple durations within the same study design. Individual variation in response likely exceeds the average differences between window durations, meaning that population-level optimal windows may not exist. Instead, optimal windows might be individual-specific, requiring personalized experimentation to identify. From a practical standpoint, the evidence suggests starting with moderate time restriction, 10 to 12 hours, as an initial approach for most individuals. This duration likely provides circadian alignment benefits while maintaining nutritional adequacy and social flexibility. More aggressive restrictions might be considered for specific goals like accelerated weight loss, but only with attention to adherence challenges and nutritional completeness. The search for universal optimal windows may prove less fruitful than developing frameworks for individualizing window selection based on goals, baseline patterns, chronotype, and lifestyle factors. Flexibility and sustainability should weigh heavily in window selection, recognizing that an imperfectly followed optimal window underperforms a slightly less optimal but sustainable approach.